Even before Cyberpunk 2077 was officially revealed, one contentious topic about the game has been third person versus first person. When people first began to hear rumors that Cyberpunk would be entirely first person, they were upset because they're used to third person games from CD Projekt Red, from Witcher, and so making the transition to strictly first person, people felt, why? Why not just allow us to choose between either or? But then the gameplay released, the 48 minutes gameplay, and I think a lot of people calmed down after that. They were like, oh, okay, I guess this makes sense. There's definitely a sense of immersion, things happening in the moment, and being able to see everything from a first-person perspective with all the cybernetic implants, kind of tying into the HUD elements and stuff like that. A lot of people felt, okay, this is cool. This is actually cool. And since then, the issue has kind of calmed down, but now it's kind of on the rise again because of what I would say are rather confusing statements from CD Projekt Red that has caused headlines like this to appear. This is from PC Gamer. It reads, Cyberpunk 2077's cutscenes will apparently be first-person, even scenes. Here's another headline from Game Rant. Cyberpunk 2077 cutscenes are all first-person, including scenes. So where does all of this come from? Well, there is this forum post from the official CD Projekt Red forum, and there's the screenshot right here that one user pointed to, which shows them getting in contact with Cyberpunk 2077's official Facebook page, and the user asked, hello, some people said there is no more third-person view cutscenes, etc. Is that true? The response that the page provided was, in Cyberpunk 2077, immersion is very important for us, so yes, cutscenes are first-person perspective. And then the user asked, and what about scenes? And the response was, same. Now, the framing of the question is important. He asked, is it true there are no more third-person perspective cutscenes? And seemingly, the folks at CD Projekt Red confirmed this. Now, keep in mind that in the 48 minutes gameplay presentation from last year, there are certain segments where they do, in fact, show some cutscenes in third person. So right here, for example, during the intro portion of the game,
missing person, a girl whose locator implant went dark.
Almost clear.
We see this happen, and then towards the end of this mission, we see the same thing happening, right? Right here.
Blow it all on booze in 3 days.
Talking about somebody else, Jack. Cleaner than a cunt out of combat.
And then right after that, we see V waking up from her apartment. That's also in third person. So this gameplay reveal gave the impression that we're going to see a combination of both first person and third person. And yet, if we look at this Facebook thread, we're seeing them confirm that there is no more TPP view, third person perspective view. So that immediately led to people on forums saying that all cutscenes in Cyberpunk 2077 are now first person, not third person. Somebody else asked, so that scene where V and Jackie get out of the elevator in the first 45-minute trailer is not in the game now? And the assumption was this will likely either be removed or switched to a first-person perspective. So this is sort of the conclusion that people came to. No more third-person cutscenes. Previous third-person cutscenes shown were axed. And that's a conclusion that I think makes sense given what we're seeing in this thread. But then, another user posted first-person only cutscenes not confirmed. Community Podcast asked both Powell Sasko, who was in chat, and Lilaya about the Cyberpunk Facebook screenshot, about how there is no third person in cutscenes, and both said they can't confirm or deny anything, so it's still up in the air. And this is a podcast session from the Triple S League, I believe. And then below down here, another user pointed to a number of other statements that seem to indicate that third-person cutscenes have been removed. So clicking on this link will lead to this screenshot, which is in, I believe, Polish, and that translates to, I just read on Reddit that there won't be any cutscenes in the game. Does this mean that we will not see our character in a reflection in the mirror or in the game menu? What about atmospheric scenes while playing, seen in an elevator or in an apartment after waking up? Was it all cleared out? The response was, immersion is a priority for us. In the case of Cyberpunk, therefore cutscenes will be viewed from the first person. Sometimes you may not even notice that the cutscene has started. So they keep emphasizing how first person is a big deal in Cyberpunk, but they're not directly addressing the question that's being asked. Were these third person cutscenes that we have seen before completely axed in favor of first person? So they're just being kind of vague about it, and that's led to a lot of confusion and a lot of people believing that, you know, stuff like this the third-person perspective cutscenes will likely be axed or switched to first-person. And then clicking on this link will lead to another response from Lilaya, a community manager. When asked about this, she said, think I said that here already, so I'll repeat. In Cyberpunk 2077, immersion is one of our top priorities since it shows the action from the player's perspective, first-person perspective. We wanted to make dialogue options almost indistinguishable from gameplay. You won't have any matte sliding in to indicate that a cutscene has started. So again, big emphasis on first-person, and we have seen first-person cutscenes, right? So an example is this one with Dexter to Shaun, where the line between cutscene and dialogue are blurred. You get in this car and you seamlessly start engaging in what is essentially a cutscene with Dexter to Shaun, but in first person. You're seeing everything happen around you, so you can kind of get a feel for what these first-person cutscenes look like.
Miss V, a pleasure.
And then there is a similar cutscene here, where it's this dynamic dialogue system where V is getting dragged around and threatened, having a gun pointed to her face while dialogue is occurring.
This piece of shit, Anthony Gilchrist. Did he or another asshole at Militech leak info to you or anyone else about a convoy?
It might be tempting to reach for the gun, but the consequences could be
nothing
dire.
to do with him or
Remember,
Militech.
these guys are really tough.
Shit.
Yeah, so this is what a first-person cutscene looks like. And last but not least, this segment right here with the Maelstrom gang. The first-person perspective, I think, does lend itself to cutscenes like these where the situation is tense. This segment right here with the Mexican standoff is a fantastic use of first-person.
We'll pay for the bot and be on our way.
I think this cutscene works really well in first-person. But at the same time, I think people really like seeing third-person cutscenes like this because this is a role-playing game where you can customize your own character. So being able to see that character in action from time to time really helps a lot in sort of being able to bask in the badassery of the character you designed and that you customized, so on and so forth. But all of these different statements, it's putting that into question. People are wondering what's going on with these third-person cutscenes, but the word removed has actually never been used. Keep that in mind. Which leads us to the following statement from Marcin Momot, who is the global lead community manager, I believe is his position. And on this matter, he clarified and stated this: achieving full immersion in a first-person perspective game is extremely important, and the decision made by the team to go 100% first-person in Cyberpunk 2077 is something that will benefit it greatly from gameplay and storytelling perspectives. That said, players will still be able to see their characters in the inventory screen during driving sequences, in mirrors, and very occasionally in some cutscenes. So right here, there's a mirror, and players can kind of look at themselves, see how they look, and see everything they've customized about the character, from the clothes to the facial features, the tattoos here, everything. Then we have vehicles. So when you're riding a motorcycle, you can choose to ride it in third person or first person. Either one works. And finally, there's the inventory screen. Now this is the shop, but a little later down the line, we do get to see the inventory right here, and you can see the character model in full. And he's also saying that in some cutscenes, you can see your character in third-person perspective, which seems to suggest that cutscenes such as this one have actually not been removed. There are still some cutscenes where you will see your character from an outside perspective, allowing you to see them in action, which I think is good news overall, because for my part, my opinion is that I would occasionally like to see my character in third-person cutscenes, because it's such a customizable game from an aesthetic perspective, and it would be a waste to not be able to see your character very often. So that's sort of Marcin Momot's statement on the matter. He seems to be confirming that the third-person cutscenes have not in fact been removed, but he does say very occasionally in some of the cutscenes, which seems to suggest that while we have seen some of these third-person cutscenes, there won't be like a bunch of them. It's not going to be like 50% third-person, 50% first-person. It's going to be just occasional cinematic moments where we're going to see the character in third person. But for the most part, the game is meant to be experienced like this, right? Where when you're talking with NPCs, you're in the moment. Scenarios like this will never play out in third person. The camera won't pull out and show V, holding the gun up against the Maelstrom gang or anything like that. This is going to happen in first person, and the player is going to be able to choose what they want to do in this scenario, as you can see right there. So that's sort of CD Projekt Red's vision for the game. But I guess there will be occasions in which it's just going to be cinematic and you won't be choosing dialogue. Things are played out linearly in certain cutscenes, and I guess those they're going to do third person. But for the ones where you do have some semblance of control or choice, that's when I think they're always going to stick with first person. But it doesn't look like this has been removed. It just seems as though there won't be as many of these third-person cutscenes as some people might think. And then we have a tweet from Twitter user Outstar, who at one point did work for CD Projekt Red, I believe. And she said this: "Nothing has changed with Cyberpunk 2077. Majority of cutscenes will be in first-person perspective, as you saw in the gameplay videos, bathtub scene, Ripper Doc. Some cutscenes will be in third-person perspective, V rising from the bed. It's a designer's decision that you can't judge before playing the game." And then below down here, she responded to a user who said, "I think they also remove those third-person camera cutscenes in demo. Everyone is saying that right now." Outstar responded, "Nope, nothing was said about removal." That's indeed true. They were just very vague and they chose their words poorly, I think, which led people to believe the third-person stuff was removed. There will be few instances in which the game, I imagine big cinematic moments, where you will be able to see V in third-person perspective in cutscenes, but a majority, cutscenes will be completely merged with the gameplay. So again, few instances. Very occasionally, you'll see third-person cutscenes, such as this. For my part, after seeing the first-person cutscenes in action, I think they look fantastic. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it makes tense situations like this that much more tense than kind of having the camera pulled out and seeing things that way. It's just you're in the moment, and it's just a lot cooler. But I do understand what people are saying about I would like to see a decent amount of third-person cutscenes so that I can look at my character. Do I think that them going mostly first-person is going to ruin the game and that's going to be the game's downfall or something like that? No, I don't think so. The game still looks incredible. It would just be cool if there were more third-person elements, because I like to see my character in action, but at the same time, I do agree with the sentiment that you can't judge before playing the game. I do think we should wait and see how this all pans out before we make a final judgment. So the bottom line is that nothing's really changed. We're still going to see a combination of this and this. It's just that this isn't going to be super prominent compared to, this. This is going to be what we're going to see more of compared to this. This is going to be more occasional. A few cinematic moments here and there. So there you have it, folks. I hope this clarifies this whole situation. I'd love to hear what your take is on CD Projekt Red being mostly first person with the occasional third-person cutscene in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.